Jeff Scott Soto, how's it going, man?
Fran, Strine, my dear brother, how are you?
I'm fantastic, dude. So
How are things
so
over there in
glad to see you,
Oklahoma?
man. Oklahoma's killer, dude. The
Yeah,
town I'm in is called Edmond, and if you've been to Austin, Texas, it kind of reminds me of Austin. It's up and
oh,
coming, gentrified, all
right,
new
right, right.
housing developments. So this house I bought is brand new. I mean, it's like they're still
Wow.
building. And unfortunately, they're building right behind me, so it's like loud as shit starting at 7 in the morning. I'm not getting any quality sleep anymore. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
you got
don't
to go to
have a
sleep at
reason.
8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's like I have no reason to be up at 7 a.m. None. You
But
know.
you know what? That's the absolute dream to be able to not only get into a new house, but get into a house that nobody's lived in before you. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't even know what that feels like.
yeah, dude. It's awesome, man. I would
Yeah.
not be able to buy this house in California. There's no way.
No, of course,
Yeah,
it's gotten so crazy out here, and I don't blame so many that leave. And whether it be
yeah,
political or financial, it's become really difficult to sustain here. And I've
yeah.
I've wondered too how much longer I'm gonna stick around, or if I'll stick around. And every time I think of the alternatives, I keep going, no. Every time I've moved or tried something else, always ended back here in LA. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
just stick it out.
Yeah, so I lived, the first time I lived in California, I was in near Petaluma in Northern
Yeah.
California,
Uh-huh.
and I got called to go on tour with Nickelback, and I was paying what I thought was this was years ago. I think I was paying
Right.
$1,300 a month for an apartment, but I owned a house in Atlanta, right? So my
Yeah.
mortgage was half my one-bedroom rent, and so I'm like, well, I'm going to be gone for the next 2 years, probably because I did, like 13-month touring cycles or whatnot.
Jeez.
So I just
What
put all
year
my
was that?
shit in storage. God, 2009 or 10, something like
Oh my
that.
God, we could have actually met back then, to be honest, because I think I definitely went to see Nickelback in London when I was living there, and I think it was around '09 or 10. So
I was at the O2.
at the O2, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, because my dear friend
Yeah.
Tim Heine, we were in communications, and he said, "Hey, by the way, you're in London. If you're interested, Nickelback's playing next week," and he hooked up tickets, and we went to the show. We loved it, and it's weird
Dude,
because Nickelback is one of those bands. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it for years, and they've heard it for years. Everybody just for some reason finds something about them to either make fun of, to mock, to just put them down. And
right.
I was never a hater. It wasn't really my thing musically. It wasn't my thing back then. I was into
Yeah.
what I was into, and they were the kind of the new breed of what they were doing with rock and everything, which I absolutely respected. It just wasn't my thing. But I never understood all the hate and all the angst against this band. But
Right.
man, when I saw them live, I was completely blown away and an absolute Nickelback fan from that
Dude,
point on.
Chad Kroeger is such a rock star, and like
Absolutely, the whole band,
they're so good live, man. The
yeah,
pyro, the stage show, the production,
unbelievably good. They're
and
great
they're
music.
heavy. They're fucking heavy.
Yeah.
When you see them live, I mean, it's like going to a metal show almost.
No, absolute respect. When I saw that show, I was like, wow. I now I can listen. I can hear their songs in the radio without thinking, oh, I don't like this, and change it. I actually enjoy it. So
Yeah.
it totally
It's
changed my
funny.
scope.
The first time they ever played in the United States, I saw them in Atlanta. They played at a place called the $3 Cafe Wing Bar. Held like 110
We've all
people.
been there.
Yeah. But I got a call from their PR person, like, man, would you just go please be a body in the building? I'm like, of course, anything for you. And I went, and I'm like, okay, these dudes, something's up here, man. And the next thing you know, their next record exploded. How You Remind Me? It was
Absolutely.
nuts.
And they were on what, Metal Blade or something like that?
They were on Roadrunner.
Roadrunner, yeah. They were on one of the
Yeah.
considered indies, and nobody would have expected an explosion of a band like that to be that big on one of the smaller, I don't want to call it small labels, but back then especially they were considered more
indie
rock label. They weren't Warner or Sony yet, and they eventually worked their way up that ladder too.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, I want to jump into your career, man.
Sure, man.
So what?
Yeah, we got very little to talk about, as you know.
Yeah, no shit, man. And we haven't seen each other in a minute,
Yeah, since
Our
TSO
dates with Phil Buckman,
Yes.
Yeah, the TSO shows every year.
Yeah.
So what sparked the moment where you knew you wanted to be a lead vocalist, and when did you know that you had that voice?
When I knew I had the voice, I'm still working on that. 40 years later,
Whatever.
career and 50 years plus singing, I'm still working on wondering when I'm actually going to consider myself a good singer. But no, and I'm being silly to some degree, but on the other hand, you know, I'm my worst critic. I don't like listening to my voice. It's rare. It's one of the reasons that it's so funny. Kind of side note before we go into the actual core of the answer. I'll be somewhere in the world and somebody will just blurt out one of my songs from whether it be a solo album or Axel Repel or some of the different things I've done through the course of my life. Hey, sing that song for us. I'm like, I don't know it. I don't know my songs because I've done so many of them. It's almost like you put it like a library. You have a book and you put it in the library and you have this massive array of books. And it's come to that point where I don't even know my own songs. If people ask me like randomly to play or sing a certain one, kind of why I kind of stick to the same ones when I do go out on tour. I don't want to sit there and learn a whole new hour and a half of set of my own stuff.
For sure. So, it's funny you say that, man, because people, you know, like, who have you photographed over your career? And you know, and when I moved,
it's a hard question.
When I moved all my storage from Atlanta to here, I found all these archives of mine dating back 30 years. And I'm looking through these negatives and scanning them and put them in, you know, in order.
Files,
like, when did I shoot AC/DC? It was on the what album was it? For Those About to Rock.
Oh wow, way back.
Oh yeah, nice. Way back then. Then Ozzy.
I didn't know you were a lensman then. I didn't. I thought that was much later in life that you picked up the camera.
No. I always toyed with it. I wasn't really a pro.
Right. Gotcha.
But I was able to get these photos. Then Zeppelin, you know, not the Led Zeppelin we know, but it was with this like some Israeli or Istanbul orchestra.
Yeah.
You know, it was so cool, man. But but anyway.
Well, so to finish what I was saying, it was one of the reasons why I don't know a lot of my own catalog is because when I'm done with it, I'm done with it. I'm already moved on to the next thing. I'm either learning or singing or recording or writing or whatever. And by not going back and listening to yourself over and over, because I just mentioned I don't like to listen to my voice, I don't end up knowing my own songs. One case in point, I was on the Monsters of Rock cruise a couple of years ago, and it was late night. I was hanging with my bass player, and let's go grab a bite before we're going back to our cabins. And sitting, eating, and not even paying attention. Nobody was really in there. And Tony, my bass player, looks up. He goes, "Is that you?" With the speakers, you know, they play a lot. All they play in Monsters of Rock on the speakers are the artists that are on the actual boat. And because I'm in so many bands, it's like every other song is JSS. But there's a song playing. I'm like, oh my God, that is me. Like, what song is that? And I'm actually questioning. And then across the room, some guy shouts, "It's so and so from this album." Oh, right. I didn't even recognize it. And so we're walking out. I'm like, it just blew me away. I don't even know my own stuff. And the guys from Striper were eating, and they called me over. Dude, we just heard this song. It was killer. What song? What album is that from? Well, a guy at the other side just told me it's from that album. That's the name of the song. I had no idea. So yeah, I joke about the fact that I'm still searching for knowing that I'm a good singer because I just don't listen to myself. But on the other hand, I know what I'm capable of. So therefore, I'm able to do so many different things, variety-wise, etc. And I don't know if it was Tom Jones or Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5, with whichever one was the first I saw on television and saw them doing what they're doing and the girls screaming and going crazy. That's when I knew I wanted to do that. Whether I knew I had the talent to do it, I was so young. I would have been 5 or 6, but then I was just always singing as far back as I could remember speaking. So from that, I was always singing, and I guess developing my natural, internal, innate talent, I guess you'd call it that, because everybody else around, oh, Jeff, sing a song, sing us. Everybody always wanted me to sing. So clearly I knew I was onto something in terms of, I think I can sing.
Your early years, you joined Yngwie Malmsteen and Rising Force. How did that gig come to you?
It's a long story. I'll try to give you the condensed version. Basically, I was in a cover band in Colorado. The band wasn't doing much, wasn't earning much money. I moved out there because the band I was in when I graduated high school just recently broke up, and I had a midlife crisis at the age of 17. I was like, oh my God, my band broke up. What am I going to do? And my buddy convinced me to move to Colorado, Fort Collins, and I started this cover band, and the idea was we were going to go on the cover band circuit, make good money, and just do covers. And I could emulate so many different singers, especially by then I was totally into hard rock. So everybody wanted a singer who could do Scorpions and Kiss and Judas Priest and Van Halen, all, run the gamut of all that stuff. And so I did it. In the beginning, it was great. First 6-7 months, it was great. And then everything dried up. By the first maybe full year I was there, it was dismal. And I'm like, Mom, I'm coming home. I booked a Greyhound bus because that's all I could afford, and coming back home to California. And it was a few days before I was coming back that I was hanging out with some friends, kind of like a goodbye, final goodbye, let's hang out kind of thing. And we were hanging out in his basement. Everybody went up to the kitchen to grab some pop and some snacks or whatever. But I stayed downstairs in the basement. MTV was on, and I saw Mark Goodman on there saying, MTV News. So Yngwie Malmsteen, Swedish guitar player Yngwie Malmsteen, has left the band Alcatraz, and he's starting a new band called Rising Force. And he's actually looking for a singer, and it could be you. And I remember the finger coming to the camera, and I was the only in the room, so clearly he was talking to me. My friends came back to the room, and I told them about it because I was one to introduce them to Steeler and Alcatraz. That they were blown away by Yngwie, and not the rest of the world hadn't really caught on yet. It was the slow burn that was now going to be a fever pitch in terms of everybody knowing who Yngwie Malmsteen is. And I just remember saying, man, what a gig that would be for somebody. And my friends were saying, that should be you. I go, you crazy? First of all, the only demo I have to send, I was 16. I'm only 18 now, 16 years old. He's going to laugh at this. Like, no, the demo's great. The song is great. You got to send it. Okay. Now, the problem is I'm broke as fuck. I don't even have the $1.33 it costs to send the tape to California. Oh. So my buddy said, tomorrow we're going to the post office. We stayed up all night, all day and all night, watching MTV for like 14 hours until MTV News came back on, so we can get the address. They could run the article again. Got the address. Went to the post office next day. Sent the tape. I called my mom. I said, "Sorry, this is the short version. I'm trying to give you the long version."
No, that's great.
If a person called Yngwie Malmsteen calls, she's like, "Wait, Wowie." Nobody could pronounce his name back then, so I said, whatever. If somebody calls looking for me as a singer, please get a number and tell them I'm going to be in town next week when I'm coming home. And nothing happened. Came back to LA, falling back into my life. What am I going to do now? I was working with a potentially new band. It just wasn't really, I had no concrete idea of what I was going to do. Then all of a sudden, call comes in. It's Yngwie's manager's secretary saying, "Hey, we got your tape. Yngwie would love to meet you. He's at the record plant. I think it was the record plant of one of the studios in LA. If you could come down and meet him tomorrow." I was like, hell yeah. This is worst case scenario here. I'm going to meet Yngwie Malmsteen because he's one of my favorite guitar players. He's the man. He's the guy of the hour at the moment. So went to the studio, and he was in the middle of doing a solo. I'm like, this is awesome. Just sitting back on the loud speakers. And he goes, "Yeah, we'll be with you in a second," kind of thing. It was the total casting call, except I was the only one there. So finally took a break. Okay, let's go into one of the other rooms. Picked up one of the acoustic guitars. There was a room, just guitars everywhere. There was just lying everywhere. It's like a junkyard of guitars. Just pick one up, and he starts noodling, and then he starts playing the song As Above, So Below. He starts playing on acoustic. Because I got this song on this album I'm working on. Oh no, he didn't even say album I'm working on. He said, "I got this song," and he just starts playing me the rhythm of the verse and where the chorus is. And I've got this for an idea for the chorus, da, 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 but not an octave lower, not the way I'm singing it. I want to take it up an octave. I brought it up the octave. Boom. He sounds great. hey man, get a paper and pen and write some lyrics just so we have something to work with as we're working on this, because we didn't even have a recorder. We weren't recording anything. And so we went over the song, verse and chorus, verse and chorus. Okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds good, man. Let's put this on tape. I'm like, what? I just met you. Let's put this on tape. I had no idea that they'd already tracked the entire song. I thought what he was working on there was something he was working on. It was already recorded. And apparently he was supposed to actually do the vocals for that song. Had he not had me in the band, he was going to be the singer for the 2 songs on the first album. So they put me in there. We get the levels sorted, managers on the other side of the glass. And man, it was just like the movie Rockstar. I start singing it. I'm doing all the high notes and stuff. All I can remember, managers behind Yngwie, like bouncing up and down, like excited. And that wasn't his nature for him to be doing that. And Yngwie's cool as a cucumber. Like, yeah, let's not get too excited here. We don't want to give him too much. We don't want him to think that he's got the gig. So they kept it cool. Yngwie brought me in. Cool. I have a copy of that cassette of my audition.
You still have it?
I still have it. And just like you did with your photos, I dumped it from cassette to digital, so I have that preserved. Yeah. So yeah, it was one of those things where he goes, cool. Well, I got to get back to this. I have an 8-track, reel-to-reel 8-track in my house, and I'm demoing a bunch of songs. It'd be cool if you can come over. We can work on some stuff. I go, I'd love to do that. So for the next 3 weeks, I was at Yngwie's house every day, whether we were working, whether we were just hanging, whether I was his designated driver to the Rainbow so he can get trash and I could drive him home. I didn't drink a drop back then. I didn't drink a drop until I was in my 30s. Right. And so, yeah, I did it just to be able to hang with Yngwie. But nowhere in that 3 weeks did I get any sense of I got the gig. The only thing I got from the manager was out of the box of tapes that they played Yngwie, because they went through everything before he heard anything. They took 2 tapes out. One was mine, and the other one was the worst one they could find in the bunch. They played them that one first as a goof. It's like, oh man, are you kidding me? What is this? Okay, it's a joke. This is the guy we want you to listen to, and it was me. So wow, it's a total Cinderella story on those terms, because you got to think of also, thankfully, because Yngwie is Swedish, he didn't segregate. He didn't look at me as a Puerto Rican singer, as a non-blue-eyed, blonde-haired guy. That back then, image was everything. He didn't see me as somebody who might not sell the product, might not sell the overall thing the correct way. He just looked at me as, you got the voice, you're a nice guy, let's do this. And he brought me on, and he took a chance with me. When later I found out in other bands I was in, that would have been a concern. Other bands, other labels, other managers looked at me as, we don't want to have the Spanish guy. We don't want to have the kind of split race group. It's got to be, blue-eyed blonde singer. That was the, that's what everybody wanted at the time. And I didn't fit that mold.
When I saw Yngwie at and I think you were what, because this was in the 80s. You guys played the Atlanta Omni. Do you remember that gig?
Where?
The Atlanta Omni.
Yes, that was the last show I sang with Yngwie Malmsteen. The last full show I sang with him live, 1987, opening for Iron Maiden. I
was there. And, backstage, not backstage, but where the buses and trucks are parked, they had a chain link fence so that the fans can get back there. So I went back there waiting. I was like, I got to meet Yngwie, because I was a guitar nerd. He comes out. Yngwie, can you come over here and sign a picture or take a picture? He didn't even look at me, but he reached in his pocket and pulled out a guitar pick and flung it, and it hit me in the chest through the fence. I still have that pic here somewhere behind me on my memorabilia show. Isn't that correct? And I was at your last gig. Unfortunately, it was your last gig. But
it was I didn't know it was my last, but I kind of felt I wanted it to be, because I'd already left once. And when I came back the second time, it was better in terms of the overall, not only treatment, but one of the reasons I left, and it's no secret now, I've said in many interviews, is because in the beginning it felt like it was supposed to be a band situation. Yngwie treated us as band members. I created with them as a songwriter, co-write. I didn't just finish the song because he needed the extra lyrics or the extra melodies. We did it together, and we he treated us. We hung out like friends. We hung out like a band. But as things went along, right when the album was about to come out, when we were on tour, that's where we saw how the other side treated us. Nobody in the label gave a crap about the band. The fans pretty much all cared about Yngwie. There was no focus and no real attention that they were ever planning to do with the band as a focal point for Yngwie. It was all about Yngwie. He's the marquee artist. The rest of you guys are basically his janitors. you know, you got to get the job done kind of thing. Yeah. And that extended even to and this is not talking crap about Yngwie, but it extended to when Mark Bowles joined the band. I heard that they told him when they recorded the video for "I'll See the Light Tonight" with my voice, that there was no time to get his voice on the track to redo it. Let's do the video first. We got to get that deadline, get that done, because the tour is going to start, and then we'll get you in the studio where we cut the vocal, and then that'll match your video. They never did it for him. They never planned on doing it for him. So that's why my voice is coming out of him on the "I'll See the Light Tonight" video. So it was
crazy, dude.
It was a drag for him because and it happened to him twice, because way later, I think it was 95, 96, when I did the Inspirations recording with Yngwie. There was 3 songs I did with him on there with all different singers as well on that record. He wanted to release "Carry On Wayward Son" as a video, as a single. I sang on it. Mark Bowles was touring with him. Mark Bowles had to do the video. And once again, Mark's singing to my voice. And I feel bad for Mark because he's a great singer, a killer singer, and it's just a great guy. And it sucks that he got stuck with 2 big videos from his life not being his voice.
Right. God. So what did it do for you? Like the exposure, man. You're playing arenas, stadiums with Iron Maiden and Yngwie, who's like,
well, and yeah, that was the dichotomy that was the problem, is that on the first tour, they were really, really lackadaisical with paying us, and it wasn't like they were paying us much. It was a very small salary, and I'm not complaining about it. We agreed to it, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But even that wasn't even coming in on time, and it wasn't because of lack of funds coming in. The money was flowing just fine with them, but for some reason we were always on the back burner in terms of getting paid on time. And there'd be weeks at a time where we're like, guys, I got nothing, my rent's due. And that's one of the main reasons I left the first time. Second time I came in with contract. I made sure that everything was right up top, because I wasn't going to take that risk again. But it comes back to, you work your ass off, you put everything into it the same way you would as if you were an equal partner 100%, and you don't even get 1% back in terms of the recognition, the notoriety, the attention, the focus. And not that I notice me. It's not all about that. It's just that I want my career to grow. The only way to grow is if people know about me. If nobody knows my name, they don't know who I am, what I'm about. I'm not doing interviews. There's no focus. I'm a nobody. I'm just somebody's singer, and I could be replaced any day, like a Broadway show that goes on tour. You have all these backup singers and you go out there and do it. If you break your leg, if your voice goes, they just fill you in, and nobody cares. Nobody knows. So I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of something that grows, that we actually grow together, our names grow together, and if it gets to a certain level, we all can take credit for that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And one thing I love about you watching you perform is your stage presence. Like, there's not many singers anymore that just go fucking crazy on, like David Lee Roth, or you know what I mean? And especially in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So everybody needs to know that you're one of the vocalists on the West Coast tour, right? Yes, you've been there for what?
This is my 18th year.
18th. I thought it was okay. 18 years. Okay. And so I've known the Sabotage guys since before Hall the Mountain King, and I'm friends with Middleton, and was dear friends with Chris Oliva prior to his passing, which was awful. And then Paul O'Neill's always super friendly and accommodating to me, and just a wealth of information, man, when we would talk.
Absolutely. I learned so much from that man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, tell me how you got that gig, because that's an odd gig, because it only goes out for a few months out of the year. You've been in it for now 18 years. And when you come out, dude, is when the rock starts happening. Like, you whip off your jacket, you're running around.
Well, you know what?
It's so awesome, man.
My onstage persona, for better or worse, I have to give massive credit and praise to Prince and Freddie Mercury. They are my two royalty marquee artists that truly inspired me as a stage performer. I mean, Freddie was one of those guys. He could go on stage and he could make a person at the back of an 80,000 seater stadium feel like they're as part of the show as the person in the front row.
Right.
That to me, that to me was a talent within itself. Forget about the singing, the songs, the songwriting, etc. The talent of being able to reflect, to be able to connect and bring everybody together as one, but also entertain them, not just go up there and sing your song and then walk to the drum riser and take a drink. To me, you have to give them a little something. You have to entertain them. But for me, it's not even, I'm not forcing it. The music does it to me. The energy, the crowd, everything just happens. It pushes me to happen naturally. And that's where all that came from. Prince was second to none in terms of how he does what he does on stage. And Freddie was one of those guys, he's sing one note, he's got 80,000 people singing that note with him. Right. That to me those were rock stars. Those were the performers. Those are the ones that inspired me to do what I do. So I'll give them absolute credit for that. Yeah. Now regarding TSO, I've known Al Petrelli, oh God, since the 90s. I think I met Al.
Can I just say something about Al real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I do not.
I'll say exactly what you say afterwards.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's underrated. I just don't think people have discovered him yet.
Right.
That dude is so fucking tasteful as a guitarist.
Absolutely.
Dude, his guitar tone, the notes he's playing are always spot on, the melody. He can do no wrong, man.
And musically, he's so connected. It's just music to him. It's like it doesn't have to think. He can play one note and he'll name you like 18 different chords that work over that one note. We could be singing like we're doing a radio news morning radio for TSO on tour or whatever, and just doing one of the songs acoustically, just me and him. And I know how the songs, they're pretty elementary in terms of the chord changes. They don't go too extreme in terms of, especially the singer's songs. The classical songs, forget it. That's a whole nother ball of worms.
Right.
Can of worms. But he'll take traditional chords and change them, and I'll be singing something and it just takes my mind, whoa, where did that come from? And I want to say that, but I have to keep singing. And that's how Al's mind works when it comes to music. He's a wonderkind in terms of theory, in terms of feeling, and feeling is the most important thing, because when you feel it and you know, he knows when you're feeling it. He just and I just love being in the presence of that, because it makes me a better singer, makes me want to be a better singer. And Al's just one of those overall guys. So we met each other, like, I think it was like 90 or 91. I remember it was in LA, and we were doing some benefit show or something like that. And somewhere in my archives, I have the photo. All of us were on stage. It was DeMartini, all these different guitar players in the time. And I met Al that day. Never heard of him, didn't know anything about him. But I think he was already with Cooper. Unless I did meet him first. That was the second time I saw him. The first time I met him was in Sweden. Talisman was we were on a festival that Alice Cooper were on, and met him backstage. And I was already on tour with Swedes for a month. I'm like, I want to speak English. I don't want to speak broken English anymore. And meet this guy in Long Island, and it just connected. It felt right at home. We hooked up at the bar with, after the show, everybody was there. We had a few drinks and just laughs and everything. So I've known Al since 1990.
Wow. Now I saw him with Alice. Yeah, I saw him with Alice Cooper, with Kip Winger on bass. I think Eric Singer on drums. It was like, who knew that these guys would explode? Alice has that talent, man, of finding. Yeah. But go ahead with your
so we you fast forward to 2000, I'm going to say 2002, I want to say 1 or 2. I was at a wedding for another buddy that I was working with at the time on the East Coast, and who comes to the door, Al and his wife, and it's like, dude, I haven't seen you in forever, and blah blah blah. And then this is 2001, he's telling me about TSO. I'm like, this sounds weird, classical music and hard rock. And okay, well, I was with Yngwie, so I guess it kind of works. But the way he was explaining it with a story to narrator, I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, good luck with that. And walked away going, ooh, this sounds strange. Yeah. Because you can't describe TSO in the words. I've heard people try to describe it, and you underplay it no matter what you say verbally about TSO. There's no way you can verbally describe it. You have to see it to understand it. You have to see it to feel it. Everything about it is about watching the visuals behind that. And it's one of the things I loved about Paul O'Neill, and I respect to this day, when people would ask him, why don't you ever release a TSO live DVD or Blu-ray? He said, because as much as you can capture the glory of the lights and the sound and all that, you can't capture the feeling of sitting there and watching it live. The way the ambience around you of the sound, the way you're feeling when you feel that fire, when you see those lasers. You watch it on TV, it's just a small box version of what.
Even behind, you got to look behind you to see what the fuck is going on. There's stuff happening behind you.
So he never wanted to cheapen or lessen the experience of what people have to do to see TSO. That's why he never wanted. Back in the day, they never even wanted people to film and put it on YouTube. They would pull it a lot all the time. They have ushers going in and telling people to stop filming. Got to the point where it's almost impossible to stop everyone. And they realized that, of course, it's going to be great promotion eventually, because the band's always slamming. Both bands, East and West Coast, they're always great in representing TSO to the fullest. So why not use that free little extra promo and keep the whole machine rolling, a little more naturally, I guess.
Yeah, the first time I saw TSO, I'll back up a minute. So when I was shooting for Metal Edge magazine with Jerry Miller, when she was still the editor there, she sent me to Florida to cover the Dead Winter Dead album. I arrive and I'm to meet Paul O'Neill at the hotel. Knock on the door, and Paul comes to the door, and he's got 2 phones to his ear. He's like, "Get in here." I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "Give me 5 minutes," and he hangs up the phones, both plural.
Wow.
He goes, "Man, this is crazy, dude." I was like, "What's happening?" He's like, "The song on this album is taking off at Adult Contemporary, and all these promoters are picking it up, and I'm on the label, on the phone, the label and the radio promoters, and we're going to go cut a Christmas album." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "This is weird. What about City Beneath the Surface and The Dungeons Are Called?" What? A Christmas record? You would have never have thought that,
No.
And I wonder how many of the fans that bring their families, like a tradition every year, even know the backstory.
Right. And that's one of the things Al says all the time when we're doing interviews together. He said one of the great things about TSO is you'll have an 80-year-old grandmother with her crochet sweater, and next to her you have a kid wearing a Slayer shirt, because that's the kind of show it just projects, and it brings everybody. It draws you in. But yeah, going back to that, knowing Al for so long, now we fast forward 6 years later. I hadn't seen him since the wedding. And 2007, it's literally I think it was the day of or the day after I was fired from Journey, I get a call from Al. Dude, I didn't even know you had my number still, but what a strange call, but out of the blue. And I told him about the Journey thing. He goes, "I didn't even know about that. I'm calling about something completely different." Like I thought he was calling because he was wishing me, "I'm sorry to hear about this." He had no idea.
Right.
And he goes, "Anyways, I just want to let you know, remember that thing I told you about TSO? I told you last time I saw you, it's blown up. It's huge." I go, "Yeah, I've seen and heard of it. By now, I already knew TSO." Right. He goes, "My boss, Paul O'Neill's in the studio, and he's tried every singer in his Rolodex, and he had a big ass Rolodex." He said the lead character for this new album, it's the non-holiday album. It was called Night Castle. We got the Night Castle back there on the wall, working on it. And he said it's a key character, and he's tried everybody. And I brought up your name, and he said, "Jeff Scott Soto, isn't he a tenor? He sings for Journey. Isn't he a tenor?" He goes, "No, he's a baritone with tenor tendencies." So he goes, "Give him a call." So Al calls me, and he says, "Yep, Paul wants to meet you." They bought a ticket. I flew down to Tampa. It was just a weird, everything about meeting Paul. Like you said, there's always something going on. He's always got his mind on other things. But when it came to the actual work, nothing else mattered, and the focus was on the work. So we met. We say hello. Where he puts me in the studio. Within maybe the first 20 minutes of us talking, and he plays me the song. Okay. And this was his litmus test. That I know it now. Put me in there. I get okay. Put the lyrics on the mic stand. I mean, on the music stand. Get the levels and everything. I knew the song enough that I could do my own pass on it. So hands in pockets, chewing gum, roller tape. I'm singing not even 3 lines into the song. and it's dark in there. There's no light on me. The light is only on the sheet of paper. He goes, Jeff, man, I'm not feeling it. It sounds like you're in there with your hand in your pocket, chewing gum, and not really in the
moment or whatever,
story,
right?
Moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Yeah, take my hands in my pockets. And he wouldn't. And he goes, yeah, come on in for a second. I want to talk to you a little bit about the song. We spoke for 7 hours, not 7. Yeah, 7 hours. We were in there until 4:30 in the morning talking about the song, about the story of Night Castle, the entire story, what was based from, and everything that led into it, all the way to how they look at Mel Gibson's face in the movie We Were Soldiers, to Braveheart. We're talking about all these different influences that put you in that moment, and then all of a sudden, I went from Bruce Banner to the Hulk. Put me in, boss. Put me in front of them, and that's where he knew. At 4:30 in the morning, with one pass, one take, he goes, "That's my guy." I knew it. I knew I could get that out of him, because from day one, I told him, Paul, I'm not a musical theater guy. I don't like Broadway and those kinds of things. I don't listen to Oklahoma and Cats and Chicago. That's not my thing. He goes, Jeff, you have it in you. You don't know it, but you have this in you. You just don't realize it yet. I'm like, but I'm not interested in this world, dude. Just let me sing and pay me. That's where my head was at the time.
Right.
And it wasn't until I started working with him and everything just channeled and switched. And now I was on the same planet, the same level as Paul O'Neill. It's just a great man.
God, man, that is amazing. And tell me when you joined TSO, was it just one show a day? Were there matinees happening?
No, by then it was, this pretty much from the latter part of the first month we're on the road to the entire second month we're on the road were doubles. So my first year with them not only started in October, but it would end in January. Nowadays, I go to rehearsals in November, and we start like mid-November, and we end by New Year's Eve. They've condensed it to a better way of doing it. Especially, it's kind of weird to go into January after you're saying Happy New Year and you're still singing Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. It's weird. Yeah. But even after Christmas, December 27th, then you got to sing that. But at least it's still close enough. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I did the Night Castle record with him in 2007. And then the first time I went to go see them, he wanted me to see both the East and the West Coast bands, because he said it's the same show, same songs, but there's something about them that's completely different from one another. So I just want you to see both sides, to absorb both sides, because next year I would like to try to get you into the program. And by 2008, they let one of the singers go, and I came into the fold, and I've been there ever since.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, you know me, man, I go I don't think I've missed a year. Like, wow, I can't, ever since the very first one ever.
Yeah.
And my son loves it. It's funny, man, because you called me one time in the car. My son was with me. This was maybe 3 years ago or so. And he goes,
right.
Is that Jeff Scott Soto from Yngwie? I'm like, he goes, why is he calling you? I'm like, well, he's a buddy of mine. She's like, oh, because it doesn't get starstruck often.
Right.
But he was just like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, he's a dude, I was like, we go eat sushi awesome. And me, you, Phil Buckman, having a good time. Yeah. So yeah, he's been since he was a child in the scene. So it's like to see him excited was pretty cool, I want to talk about this too, man.
It's been a blessing for me big time, and it's weird because TSO, besides my band Talisman, it's the longest running tenure musically that I've been part of.
Right.
There are so many out there that, especially in the early days when I was doing so many different projects and bands, and I got a lot of flack for it because everybody, Jeff would be more of a household name if he could stick to one thing. And I was like, guys, it wasn't about that. You stick to one thing, you're broke. You have to get a day job. You have to do so many other things just to even live. And then next thing you know, your band breaks up and you have to start again. So I was all about not necessarily soldier of fortune, but I was jumping around to different things. One, because they wanted me. Two, because I could make a living from it and didn't have to worry about getting a day job. And number three, it gave me the idea. It gave me the challenges and the dynamics and the dimensions of being able to do so many different things musically. If I were just with Yngwie Malmsteen, everybody would see me as a screamer, metal guy, and nobody would know
Right.
that I could sing R&B and funk and ballads and AOR and everything in between. They wouldn't know that. So the fact that I was able to do so many different sessions and different bands that they offered different challenges for me as a singer, as a writer, as a performer, I jumped on it because it was only going to make me better and stronger. I wanted to be as important as Freddie Mercury, as Prince, in terms of what they had to offer, and the only way to do that is to be able to tap into so many musical things that that just didn't limit you. And that's one of the reasons, the main reason why I love both those artists so much, because there were no walls when it came to music for them, and I didn't want those walls either.
Totally. Now, when the unfortunate passing of Paul O'Neill happened, were there, like, obviously everybody's devastated or whatnot, but was there any talk of maybe shutting it down, or how do you keep that legacy alive and just keep forging and innovating to keep the show building like he's done it for all these years?
We weren't privy to those conversations, the backstage conversations. A lot of it had to do with the family, because Paul O'Neill's family were very much involved, especially the early days of TSO. And they were there. Later, I think it was more backing it, making sure that we had the startup costs and everything covered. So that way, once the thing was out there and generating the income to put it all back into the bank and put it back into the pot, his family were very important when it came to that. So they were also very important in the decision of moving forward. I don't know, and I don't want to speak out of line. I'm assuming there might have been trepidation here and there, but without Paul, we don't have the visual scope. But then management, who have been great from day one, they have the visual scope because they were there with Paul. They knew what he wanted to do. They knew some of the things they couldn't do. They knew some of the things they pulled off that he wanted to do that everybody said, you're crazy for doing. So them knowing everything about Paul and how his mind worked, now it was up to them to make it work without ruining it, also without meddling with it. They don't want them to meddle. Well, this is one thing I didn't like that Paul did, so now we're going to do it. They did not do any of that. They stayed true to form. If we're going to do this, we got to do this as if Paul were still alive and giving us the go ahead to do this. And that's why and when they decided we were going to continue with the family's blessing and with the family behind it still. And that's how it still goes to this day. That's why it still goes on to this day.
Yeah. And I'm glad.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the fans around this. Yeah.
For me, it's not just a gig. To me, it's not just a paycheck. This is something that I'm very proud of to be part of this long, to be part of that family, that circle for this long. And I'm no spring chicken, and they still keep me around because they know that I have something that I can still bring to the table for them. That to me means the world. And so I want this to continue just on that alone. Even if I wasn't part of it any further, I'm so happy to have been part of it and still be part of it. And I want them to continue as long as people want to see it. Right.
Another thing I want to touch about you is how hard of a worker you are. Like you said, you can't just put yourself in one little box and do this, but you kind of like produce your own music videos. And I remember at one point I was going to direct one for you, and I was doing the Ray Parker Jr. movie, and I think it was Stevie Wonder we were interviewing the day that your shoot was happening, and I just got the call. Yeah, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Not interview Stevie Wonder? Or I love Jeff, but fuck. So I called my buddy Lee Levin, Lee, and he's great.
He's worked with me since.
Yeah. He is the best. Talk to me about how important it is for you to have that vision to just keep pushing, promoting, especially in 2025 with the social media. There's so many angles to go down to.
Well, let's start with the direction of the videos. I don't really direct them. Maybe if I'm giving direction to Lee, it was because I got direction from the guy that was doing my videos in Brazil. Right. The videographer there, he filmmaker, etc. That he was doing music videos for friends and for his own band. And they looked top notch, and he was making them for like $500 for nothing. Wow. I was working with Frontiers Records. They've never really been known for big music video budgets. And some of those videos that some of the artists have put out, you can see the level of how you get what you pay for, basically.
Right.
But I knew, number one, the US dollar went a little further in Brazil. So I can even take a small budget and turns into a normal size budget for something like this for a guy like that in Brazil. but in turn, I would get better results. I get more cinematic results. So his name is Tiago Kiss, and I've been working with him since, I want to say 2000. Oh, geez, I'm trying to think of the first videos we did together. I think 2019, maybe before that. We've been working together for so long, I've forgotten. Right. But he was doing all the videos that I was a part of, and especially when we got down to the lockdown in 2020, I was recording a solo album, and I need to do a video. How are you going to do that? You can't go anywhere. You can't do it. You can't be with anybody. And I said, well, if we record out in the mountain, Santa Monica Mountains, and social distance from the camera guy, we can get this done. And Lee was there were a few of them that said, I'm not leaving my house. I'm not going to risk it. But Lee was like, when are we going? What time? And that's what I love. And again, I just got the direction, got the idea of what we're looking for from the director, and said, just make sure you're shooting this with this background angle, blah, blah, blah. Lee got all that footage for me. I sent it to my guy in Brazil, and he got 2 other actors to finish that video. They broke the protocol, and they filmed the video, and we were able to get the job done, which was great. So that's what that did for me in terms of continuing to make videos and be productive in that way, without having to ask for more money or without taking money out of my pocket to get a decent result.
Okay. And
yeah,
another thing
I said it earlier, this is what I do for a living. If I'm recording an album and doing a tour, that's probably going to pay for a good few months. And then next thing you know, I'm going to go, I need more work. I got to get more things. I stop worrying and thinking about that. When sessions come in, I listen to the songs. If it's something I know I can make something out of, or I want to be a part of, I started taking everything and anything and everything. I turned down a few things just because I don't want to put too much in terms of why did you do that in the mix. But there are other things I just said, man, this is right in my wheelhouse. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And just through the years, that's how I make my living, man. It's I get to make music. I get to live that dream and do what I want to do, but it also helps me pay for the bills.
Right. A good friend of mine, David Ellefson, you guys have a project together, Ellefson Soto. And he was always been in the mindset of always say yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's something that's complete shit. He would probably turn it away just like you would. Right. But, I mean, he's done so many projects that span all kinds of stuff, right? Even voiceover work. Like my first documentary I did that was non-music was on returning veterans from the Iraq and Afghanistan war that were suffering from PTSD and wound up homeless. And I always told, I was like, man, you got a really good voice, like speaking voice. It goes, it's fun you say that because I've done some like voiceover work before for Delta and this and that. I'm like, no shit. How would you like to narrate my movie?
That's awesome.
And then it came time for a soundtrack. So I called all my buddies from like Stained, Evanescence, Ellefson, God, man, who else? Low Pro and all that. I was like, I need music for this soundtrack that I want to do. They all came together, including Ellefson.
Right.
Didn't get paid, but he's like, if it's for the veterans, I'm in.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then for you, man, like the musicians that you surround yourself with, holy shit, lucky, man. Holy shit. You didn't get lucky, man. Obviously, they see something in you too, man, because, I mean, Sons of Apollo, Talisman, Yngwie, TSO. I mean, the list of Journey. Yeah. Talk about Journey for a minute.
Man, I could write a book on my journey and no, I don't mean that in terms of anything, absolutely not negative, not by any stretch. Just my love for this band, my love for Steve Perry's voice and the music and just everything those guys put down. Neil as a guitar player, just one of the best ever. Music, the songs, just so much I could just praise this band for.
Right.
And so being a part of that, it's besides it being the obvious pinch me moment, the pride that I can actually walk away saying I was the singer for Journey for a year. How many people can say that?
Not many.
It's just one of those things that I'll go to my grave just as one of the greatest years of my life in terms of being able to sing that music. I sang it anyway. For when those albums came out, I listened to them endlessly and constantly. I knew every song, I knew every word, every nuance, every chord. I knew everything about this band inside and out. The same as Queen, the same as Van Halen. And I always said it, 3 bands in the world that even when I was in high school, I think I said it, are the 3 bands in the world I would love to sing for: Journey, Queen, or Van Halen. End up singing with Journey. I've done enough gigs with Brian and Roger and never got to meet Eddie Van Halen.
I got to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah. So just the fact that, again, you have these kind of pipe dreams. It's just, the smoke comes out of your ears based on the dreams that you have growing up. And then to actually not only be able to meet these people, but actually front those bands, to be in front of them and side by side with them in front of audiences, that is truly the dream. That is, forget about the rewards, the riches, the women, the whatever, all that crap. It means absolutely nothing for somebody like myself, that the music was everything. And what I got out of the music, what I got from them in terms of inspiration and influence, you can't take that away. So my time with Journey is just something I'll cherish forever. It's just one of those amazing moments in my life that I can say I sang for Journey.
Insane. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but Neil Sean was a neighbor of mine. I lived in San Rafael, California, and he was over maybe a half a mile in San Anselmo.
Okay.
The first time I ever saw him,
the whole time, I didn't realize. I didn't think he was somewhere else.
Yeah, San Anselmo is just like, it's so tiny.
Neighboring,
yeah. But I remember walking out of Starbucks, and I would walk from my apartment at the time, and I saw this this lime green Lamborghini. And if you know anything about Marin County, it's all granola and and Tesla. And here comes this screaming Lamborghini, man, and I'm like, it stops at the stop. I'm like, that's fucking Neil Sean, And he would every day, him and his wife, cruising up and down with a different Lamborghini. He's probably got 4 or 5 of them, man. And finally, I was walking into to get a smoothie at the smoothie place in town, and he walks in right behind me, and we struck up a conversation. And come to find out, his security detail was a good friend of mine, Richie Surrency, who toured with me with Nickelback and Stained. So we started talking. He's like, what do you do? I was like, I'm a filmmaker. I'm doing this movie, Hired Gun. He goes, oh, okay. We exchanged phone numbers, and he wound up contributing 2 songs to the soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Of the solo stuff. Yeah. It was pretty neat. I interviewed him too to make the interview, and he let me know about it. Like, Neil. He was like,
now, what was the context of his involvement? Because he wasn't, I don't think he was a hired gun. I mean, he was in Santana, he kind of was.
Santana, he kind of was, but he also brought in our Neil.
Yeah,
right?
but I guess in terms of a boss, you can discuss.
Exactly. Yeah. So who would have been the boss? Like when interviewed, when I did Alice Cooper and Rob.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Bosses. You have the bosses talking about the hiring.
Exactly. Yeah. But his interview didn't make it, and he wasn't happy about it. But everything's under the bridge now, and he's fine, and we're cool. And anytime I see him, I would definitely say hey to him. Let's talk about how this Ellefson project came together, because he holds a dear place in my. He's like a brother to me, man. I've known this guy for 30 years. It's just so nice.
I met him. Obviously, I met him through Al Petrelli. He would come to TSO every year that we were coming through Phoenix, and whether he came to the show or not, he would at least stop by in between shows to say hi to Al, talk with him, because Al has his own dressing room. So Al would say, "Hey, Junior's on his way over. Come and say hi." And that's how I first met him, and we got to be friends from that. And I'm trying to think of, because we'd known each other and met each other and hung out a little bit at the NAMM show before we actually started working on music together. It was he actually, it was definitely during the pandemic, the first thing he reached out to me on. He was writing some songs. This is when Junior was doing so much. For anybody that doesn't know, Ellefson is, everybody calls him Junior. He was working on with so many different people, again, just all over the place. I don't know what this is for. I like it. I want to finish it. I want to work on it. I want to write it. And he always had things that he could place songs in, where he was always needing songs, and whether it be for a band he's working on, for something he could give to somebody else to check out. And so he had this one song. He goes, man, I got this one tune. It has your voice all over it. I know it's not much. If I give a couple $100, do you mind demoing for me? I go, absolutely. Let's go for it. Hey, what's up, puppy?
Yeah.
Balls. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, he paid me for a session for one of the songs. He goes, dude, this is killer. It was one of those things. It was immediate. It's not that it's rare, but I love when it happens right off the jump, when it's somebody I've never worked with before, doesn't know what to expect out of me. I love blowing away the idea or the intention of what they think I'm going to be turning in for them. And that nothing makes my day more than a client reach out to me, has no idea who I am, no idea what I've done, anything. And he sends me a song, I send it back, goes, oh my God, this is insane. This is so good. That just makes my year. So that's what happened with this one song with David. And
you guys have an album coming out, right?
Yeah. But this is before all that.
Yeah.
This is in 2020.
You have a new
record. Yeah, Unbreakable, yeah. Coming out.
When is it coming out? In August?
August 15, 16. I forget the exact date, but it's definitely in August.
Okay. Is it for pre-order now, or what's going on with it?
Just came on a pre-order, I think last week or a few days ago. Yeah, maybe even this week. The first song came out, and the pre-order links came out. So yeah.
Okay. Is there any vinyl coming out with it?
Vinyl. That's one thing I love about Rat Pack. Joe O'Brien over there. He does marketing and promo like they used to do it back in the day. And he may be putting more money into it than he's going to see, but he's all about the packaging. He's all about giving as much bang for your buck as possible, as opposed to just, well, here's a CD, buy it and piss off. You know, I love the way he brands and does things. That's why I'm so happy with Ellefson Soto on Rat Pack. But going back to working with Junior, I did one song. He hired me for another one. Then he hired me for another one. I go, dude, if you're going to keep sending me songs, do me a favor. You don't have to pay me. This is a pleasure. We're locked down. We ain't going anywhere. I'm working every day anyways. I'm doing stuff. You're actually doing me a favor. You're giving me therapy to not sit and stare at the walls and go crazy. So you got songs you need, send them to me. If you got stuff you want me to complete for you or complete with you, cool. And it was such an organic, easy relationship when we sparked it up at the get. And from there, we just kept writing songs, kept recording songs, didn't know what we're going to do with them, if we're going to do anything with them. Next thing you know, we got like 13, 14 songs. Like, whoa,
damn.
These people, now you fast forward to 21, 22, we have more than an album's worth of material, and people were digging the stuff. He goes, Jeff, I just thought I was going to give this to one band. I was going to use this one for this other project I'm working on. Why don't we just put this on our and see if it sticks? I'm in. You know, Andy Martingelli, the guitar player, great guitar player, great writer, great partner in this whole thing. He's kind of like the silent partner because his name's not on the bill, not on the marquee, but he's as important to this as David and I. And we just crafted away. And next thing you know, we were releasing an album. And next thing you know, the album turned out so well, and the acceptance of it, he said, hey man, you want to do another one? I go, let's do it. It's hard to say no to Junior. He's got kind of the same characteristic or personality as I do, in terms of, I just want to please people. I want everybody to be happy, stoked, fun. I want the energy to be there. He's exactly the same way. So by just using those two ideals together, it's just a pleasure to work with him. And this new album, I absolutely love it. As we started the interview saying, I don't listen to my own stuff, I find myself into this record a lot because I just love the songs.
Well, I'll be a purchaser of the vinyl then for sure.
Awesome.
I've been collecting vinyl since the pandemic. Speaking of the pandemic, it was like, I got to find something to do. Go on eBay, Discogs, and start, buying all your old records. Priest and Cooper and all this shit. Yeah. Right. Is there going to be any touring with this Ellefson Soto? It's
kind of the same mentality I do with everything, including my band Soto. Just because I do a record, doesn't mean it's automatically a tour. It's not like the old days where you used to tour to support the album, used to tour to get people interested. This day and age, you were talking earlier about social media. Bands are a dime a dozen. There's 1,000 bands to one that makes it, that's successful and makes it. So the competition's fierce. You got to go up against the new acts. You got to go up against the veteran acts that are still putting out quality stuff and still, it's you got to find your way in there because the highway's completely it's rammed, it's jammed. So just because you do a record doesn't mean people will automatically come and see you on tour. It doesn't mean you have a built-in audience. You have to build that audience. You have obviously social media is an important thing. And we did some shows over the first album, and it's not the kind of thing I want to continue doing. I don't want to do it with my own band. I don't want to go out there and force it. You're playing places that maybe 80 people, 150 people. That's not going to be real in the end. Sure, you get those like yourself. Yeah, I saw Nickelback in this small place. It was at 80 people.
Yeah.
It's a proud moment to be able to say that. But at our stage, at our level of what we've already done, we've done arenas, we've done stadiums, we've done big tours, small tours, everything in between. At our age, we should be able to do it at a level that makes sense both for the album and the branding, but also makes sense for our comfort and our level of expectation. If we don't have that, then you're kind of banging your head against the wall. You're kind of forcing it. You're coming home with beer money. You're exhausted. Everything, all your clothing, all your white clothing is gray because you can't afford to separate washes. Everything about those days, I've come to say, if it's that anymore, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I want this to grow. I want it to get to a point where there's such a demand for it that now it makes sense to put it on the road. And that's what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about doing dates. We're going to be on the Monsters of Rock cruise next year, but we're going to do some dates leading into it. But I want them to be the right dates. I don't want to just throw out dates just because we need a warm-up show. I want to do something where we actually feel good. We're actually putting a dent into what we're doing and making a difference.
Yeah. So I know you're not involved with Sabotage, but they have, such a deep connection with TSO, and now they're out again. They had a super crazy successful run in South America and Europe.
As everybody knew was going to happen once it came. We all knew.
Yeah. Were you a Sabotage fan?
I was not. I became a Sabotage fan by default of TSO because obviously there were a lot of TSO songs that were Sabotage songs covered. They did a cover of Believe on the Night Castle album. Through the years, they picked a few here and there of Sabotage songs to remake as TSO songs. Mm-hmm. But even more so when we were doing kind of the mashup shows, like when TSO played at Wacken, or when we did the non-holiday show, or not even we did the first Night Castle tour in Europe. But the second time we went to Europe, it was just kind of like the best of, but without doing the holiday songs. And it was a lot of Sabotage throwing like, wow, that's a cool song. Wow, that's a cool song. I got to actually learn about Sabotage material then more so than when it first came out.
Well, it's just like Al Pitrelli, man. To me, Chris Oliva never got to really shine the way that he should. I put him up there with Randy Rhoads, Dimebag,
I agree.
all those guys. He is just,
and unfortunately, he never got his due because he was taken away from us so early on. But the ones who know, as the saying goes, if you know, you know.
Yep, exactly. We'll get a few more, but I know you got to go, and I'm going to jump on another thing. But I just want to I got some stuff written down here that I wrote last night. Looking over your career, is there a moment that feels like the turning point?
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, for better or worse, I mean, the negative turning point was when the whole grunge scene basically wiped out everything that I'd been doing up to that point. Not that I was even part of the hair metal thing, because with Yngwie, that wasn't really lumped in the hair metal or the hair rock, whatever you want to call that. And then after that, I was doing kind of more of AOR kind of things. Eyes was a band, and then we started Talisman. Those things were more hard rock than they were hair metal or fit in that category. But obviously, even with the whole grunge movement, everything was kind of wiped to the side. There was just no interest. We were so passé. We were dinosaurs after having only done, a couple of years together with that sound, with that whole style and vibe. So I joined a band called the Boogie Nights because I was tired of sitting around waiting for the next best thing to come along. So my positive that came from that negative was that I was able to keep myself busy for 5 years, make a crap load of money, and have fun, because I grew up with 70s music. I grew up with disco and all that. I love that music. I wasn't just doing it because it was a paycheck. I never do things just as a paycheck. When I did the Boogie Nights thing, you dress up with afros and polyester, and you do all those songs from the 70s. But we did kind of more rocked up versions of them, even though they were kind of true to form the original disco versions. And there was something about our live version of those songs. It was like what Steel Panther became when they started doing, when they came out, they were doing Whitesnake and Warrant and all that stuff the same way, with that same persona and attitude. And then they moved into their own music, and they were able to branch off and be successful with their own music. Boogie Nights was very much like that. We had we were playing for 5 years. Every time we played was packed, sold out, and it was a thing. But I was kind of forced into it instead of waiting for the next thing. By the time Boogie Nights, early 2000s, that was kind of the switch for me. The whole music movement, the Kid Rocks and the Limp Bizkits and the Korns and those kind of sounds were actually now the new sound. The Nine Inch Nails, that was the new. And now I could actually get into this stuff. I could get into this way more than the grunge scene. And that's where I kind of jumped back onto the ship, and I never looked back.
Okay. Is there a myth or rumor about your career that you would like to set the record straight on?
A myth or rumor? Oh boy, I'm sure there is, and I'm going to kick myself later when I don't come up with it. Man, why didn't I say that? Top of my head, I can't think of it. I'm sure it's going to hit me later, and I'm going to text you.
Yeah, exactly. If you could go back and re-record or re-release one album with today's tools and technology, what would that be?
Marching Out.
Okay.
The Yngwie album, Marching Out. Only because, and to this day, I've gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of compliments on my voice on that record.
Okay.
People telling me I was the best singer Yngwie ever had, blah, 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 all of the above. They compliment me. They praise those records. I'm a Viking. I'll see the light tonight. I listen to them, and it's not that I cringe. I can hear that I'm still searching for myself. I'm looking for who I am as a singer. That was the second time I did a major recording. Before that, I did a couple demos. Didn't really have much experience. Wasn't in enough original bands to find my voice, to find who I was vocally. I was still singing so many different singers and different things, and kind of combining them and compiling them to say, well, this sounds like a cross between this and this. And that's how this song represents that. When I was singing with Yngwie, I didn't feel I had my voice. So I went in there just thinking, well, if I try to sing like Bruce Dickinson and Ronnie James Dio together, that's going to at least sell the songs in a heavy way, and it's going to be in a contemporary way, the way music is today. Right. But I was forcing it. I was trying to sound like that. I was trying to emulate instead of just letting it flow naturally. If I could go back now knowing what I know with the terms and like you said, the tools and the tech that we have now and the experience I have now, it would be. But then again, then you'll have the naysayers going, man, that's the last thing I want to hear from you. I do not want to hear a remake of that, because that was a stamp in my life, in my time. When I listen to that, it brings me back to that moment. To hear you do it killer and do a badass version of who you are and what you are now and with the technology, I'm not interested. I only want to hear that. And I get that.
Yeah. It's funny because I know you as a rock guy, right? Hard rock. And I did this movie called Who You Gonna Call about Ray Parker Jr.
Love that movie.
And you were one of the first people. You may have been the very first person outside of the executives and the people at Sony Pictures actually to screen it, right? Yeah. I remember you calling me, like, who the fuck knew about this guy?
Yeah.
You know? Is there a guilty pleasure of some of that era of music that you listen to that you just like get inspired by?
I don't even call it guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure, because it's not something. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not afraid to blurt it out. I mean, for the longest time, even growing up, bands like Duran Duran and Prince and all that stuff. Dude. If you were in the hard rock metal scene, you can't say those bands' names. You can't bring that stuff up. You'll get harassed. You'll get beat up. But they'll beat you down verbally. What do you can't listen to you can't listen to Ronnie James Dio and Rob Halford and listen to Duran Duran. Are you crazy? So you had to kind of keep it contained. You had to kind of quiet it down. And man, to this day, I never ever had a grievance about sharing my influences, especially because that's who I am. That's what made me who I am. If it wasn't for Prince and Terrence Trent D'Arby and Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson and the Temptations and Stevie Wonder and Ray Parker Jr., I wouldn't be who I am. So I'm not going to hide that fact and just say, oh yeah, if it wasn't for Rob Halford and Bruce Dickinson, the obvious ones that they expect me to say. It's you got to throw them all in, man. That's where you come from.
Yeah.
That's your legacy. You got to.
It's funny, man. When I found out I was going to interview Ray for Hired Gun, he's in there for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I was excited because when I was a kid, because I always, gravitated towards fuzzy guitar and hard rock stuff. But do you remember the song they did called "I'm in Love with the Other Woman"? I'm in love with the other woman. That guitar, I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking great. I might have been like 11, 12 years old, but to me, that was like the holy grail of like heavy guitar. Yeah. And then when I got to meet him,
I've never heard it as that back then. I didn't even thought about it that way. But
yeah,
and the fact that he played it as well, you learn that stuff later. You think R&B singer, he doesn't even know what to do with a guitar. But that dude, he's a bad dude.
He's a big.
I remember that song. Every time I sing this to people, I go, "You don't know this song from radio? You're the only one. No, you can't change that."
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I loved Ray Parker Jr. I loved radio before Ghostbusters. Everybody knows him for Ghostbusters, and
that's
did
all they know him for.
Bringing his story forward. It was such a great movie.
It was funny when I was interviewing Clive Davis, because he's the one that signed Ray, right?
Yeah.
Discovered him, signed him, the whole thing. He told the radio stations at white radio and black radio, you have to play The Other Woman, or I'm going to pull all the Whitney Houston and Dionne Warwick and everybody else out. So he kind of forced Ray in there, man, because they had muscle back then, right?
I miss the way things used to work in the business.
Yeah. And Clive Davis was, he would hold you hostage, you're going to do this. He
was one of the few who could do that and get away with it, and you had to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, here we go. Rapid fire stuff.
All right.
Studio or the stage?
Oh boy, please don't make me choose.
Or you love them both equally?
Man, when I'm home in the studio, I'm at home. I just feel like I'm in my element. But then I go on the road. I'm like, oh, I got to travel and this and that. And when I'm on the road, you can't get me off. So
yeah,
it goes back and forth. There's a love and hate relationship that comes with that.
I get it, man. I've been in both situations. And the weird thing that people don't understand, that don't tour, that are just on the peripheral, is when especially if you're rolling with somebody like Journey or TSO, you're well taken care of on the road, right? Your laundry's done for you, your food's cooked, you have a sheet that tells you where to be at what time.
Yeah.
Then you come home to be domesticated and all that's gone after 10 weeks. And you're like, what the, it's almost like PTSD, right?
Yeah, that's not the part that really that I miss, or that
and the camaraderie, obviously.
Yeah. For me, it's to be able to create. There's nothing like it to create, and that fulfillment that you have when you finish something and you get to listen back and go, "Oh man, that's really good. I can't wait to do the next one." Creating there's nothing in the world that replaces it. Right. But what are you going to do with it afterwards? Going on the road, sharing your creation, that's a whole nother world. So you want to share the creation, you want to see if it's connecting, you want to see how it's connected, and then you go back to the creation side of thing. And it's a give and take, back and forth. It's one needs the other one to exist. Yeah. I know that every vocalist probably warms up differently, but when you look at like Rob Halford, who's in his mid-70s now, still out there doing a damn good job. Yeah. Like how do you take care of your voice to prolong your career? You got to keep all the things that you learned along the way, and you got to stay with them, because once you start dropping, it's like going to the gym. You can change routines, but you got to do things that can keep you in shape, and do things that keep your stamina. It's the same thing with the voice. You got to stay with things that work for you and not take them for granted, because once you take it for granted, then you're just going to start sucking. Everything's just going to start dropping on you. So that's probably why, if I could be on the road for a full year, I probably would, but I know it would trash my voice. Right. If I was staying in the studio, I'd be bored, because I want to get that energy out. I want to share the creations of those songs. So you kind of have to have both. And so, yeah, that's a tough one, man. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah. Vinyl or streaming?
Vinyl or
streaming?
Oh, streaming. Oh boy. it's hard to answer this one because you'll get people going, what, you're an idiot for saying that.
Right.
I love vinyl because of the way it sounds. I love the idea of it, holding an album, looking at it, the smell and all that. But what I hate is having to get up every time and put the damn needle on and hearing that little crackle. You hear 5 songs and then, I got to go up and change it again. So I will take streaming for the convenience of being able to play a full record and just pressing play on your phone or on your device, than having to, you can't bring your record player with you. You can't bring your speakers with you. So I want the convenience to have my music everywhere I need. So I'll go with streaming.
It's funny because David Ellefson says he can't stand vinyl. He doesn't like it at all. You know, I don't think he elaborated.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't choose either. It would have to be CDs, because CDs, at least you still have the product. You still hold the product.
Yep.
And you still have it on a high quality level, the same way you would have on an album, you know, on a vinyl. Because streaming, obviously, they're squashing and compressing the shit out of it, and next thing you know, you might be actually taking away from the ambience and the dynamics of what the music's supposed to sound like.
Right.
So
big arena gigs or intimate club shows?
Arena, baby.
Yeah.
Bigger the better. I will. That's an immediate answer. I mean, not to knock. I do the other ones, and I love it, and I love the energy and being the close and all that stuff. Man, give me an arena where I can connect with thousands of people at a time, because again, it comes down to if you have that confidence, you have that Freddie Mercury, Prince confidence, you put me in a live forum and I got these people up and working, then I'm doing my job the right way. For me, it's easier to get a crowd of 8,000 into it than a crowd of 800 in the club.
No shit. Okay. You know, it's weird because fortunately, I know you guys in TSO, man, you guys have always just hooked me up with the tickets or whatnot, and really good stuff. There's been a few of those front row, second row. Yeah. I can hear the light rigs move, like when they're moving and swinging. Do you ever look up and be like, oh shit, this is getting a little weird?
We had a few, few situations where like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Right.
Was it one of the singers back in the day said, well, this is proof that the more shit you got, the more shit can happen.
Exactly, man. And there's a lot up there, man. Here's a good one. Singing ballads or belting out screamers?
Yeah, that's another tough one, because I like to scream and belt even in ballads. I like to get it nice and soft and start it off so it's so sultry and so I guess connected, and then next thing you know, let that raw emotion just fly and belt it towards the end. So there's no reason why you can't have both, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Yeah. Tour bus or a hotel suite?
I gotta say, at my age now, it's hotel suite.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll take a private plane and hotel suite because it's all about sleep now. No, you know what? No. Let's go back. If I can tour the way we do with TSO with everything, it'd definitely be bus, because again, sleep is the key for everything, longevity, for making this work every day. If you don't got sleep, you're gonna suck, and one bad night is a chain reaction of weeks of bad nights. Yeah. On a bus, you can finish a show, you can get in your bunk, everybody can hang out, party, talk, do whatever they do all night, and you can sleep. It's quiet, you can kind of zone out. In a hotel, you got to wait until you get there. Then you have this amount of hours before you can sleep, and you got to get up, you got to pack and be downstairs. I'd rather just get on the bus, all my stuff.
You got those like 5 o'clock bus calls.
No. Let's go bus 100%.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, man. All the years I toured, you know, fortunate for me, I got to travel with the actual artists, not on the crew bus.
The crews,
No disrespect to the crew, because without them, there's nothing.
Of course.
But I rode on the band bus, and they're always condo bunks, right?
Right.
I found it easier for me to sleep on the bus, even on days off, than get in a room.
Right.
Because you just hear that generator going constantly.
Al Petrelli does that. Al Petrelli's one of the main guys in TSO. He's got a suite on days off, and you know, he's very well taken care of, and he never leaves that bus.
No shit.
Yeah. He loves it.
It's a trip.
It's like having a personal bulldog, watchdog on the bus, though. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah. He's short, but mine.
Yeah. Everything about the bus definitely works for me. Well, on days off, I'll take the hotel suite though.
Right, exactly. Lastly, here we go.
All right.
What's up with Sons of Apollo? Are we going to see another record, another tour? Is that disband? What is going on with that?
Man, I wish I had a clear answer for that. My answer is I will do it anytime, anywhere, any place. If those guys want to do it again, I'm so in. I'm so game. And it's not like the band split up. We never actually officially announced the band is over. The band split up. All I've ever said along the way is that the band can't coexist. The two bands can't coexist at the same time. Sons of Apollo and Dream Theater. That's Mike's alma mater. That's Mike's home. He went back home. And what he was doing the time that he was not in Dream Theater, he was doing exactly what I was doing. Not soldier of fortune, but a soldier of creativity and commitment to himself. He wanted to do different things that he couldn't do at Dream Theater. So he took that opportunity to just jump around and I want to do prog. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And this is why he had so many different acts and so many bands and so many albums that he was doing in between. A lot of people are like, dude, pick a lane, choose one. It's like, no, why should I? I got to the point in my life and my career where there's a lot of things I didn't get to do during my career, during my tenure with the one band that got me my name and my career. Now's the time to do that. And that's what he did. But now he's back home. He doesn't have time to be bouncing around, jumping around, farting around with us. And now the other thing he was doing. So God bless him. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for their fans. But, I'm sad. I'm bummed about Sons of Apollo. I'd love for it to someday resurface. And that's all I can say about it.
Same here. So I got to see him with Dream Theater back in October or March. In their home state that they played Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah.
I got to go. It was a great show, man.
Absolutely.
I had never been to Radio City Music Hall. That was phenomenal.
Right.
Really cool.
No, I mean,
all right. Well,
the Sons of Apollo it's one of my prouder moments in my personal career. I love the two records we did. I love the time that I got to spend with the guys and do. I've known Billy since my first Yngwie tour since '85. So for us to finally have something together after so much history together, everything about that band I absolutely love. So I hope one day we will find a way to piece it back together. One last hurrah, maybe another record, maybe a tour. I don't know. It'd be lovely to do it again. That would be great.
That'd be great. And then lastly, what do you got coming up? I know you said you're probably going to hit the road pretty soon with one of your projects.
Oh, I leave on Sunday. I'm going to be in England for a week. We're working on more videos and some kind of bonus tracks. I don't know I don't know what we're doing. We're just, when I get around Junior, David Ellefson, and the guys, we work because it's fun. We don't work because we have a commitment or a contract. So I'm going out there. We're going to shoot more videos on our own dime. We feel that we really want to push this record. The label fulfilled their commitments, but now us as a band, we're going to say, I'm flying on my own dime, hotels, everything's out of our own pockets, because we want to get more content with more bang for your buck. We want to do video interviews, all these kinds of things to help push this record, because we all feel really strongly about it. And then from there, I'm just doing a lot of appearance things. I'm doing a gig in Bulgaria with a friend of mine. It's one of the big Bulgarian bands called BTR there. He's in the band BTR, but he also does this Queen acoustic project. Really cool thing. He knows I love Queen, so we're going to do one of those shows together. I got my own show also in Bulgaria. I've got a solo show in Switzerland in August, and then I'm doing 2 shows with the Rock Meets, or the Rock. I always forget the name of it. Rock the Opera, I think is the name, something like that. Where it's a classic rock show. We're doing classic songs with a few singers and the Prague Philharmonic, and we're doing that in Vienna, Austria, in one of the beautiful modern badass opera houses there.
Yeah. I was just in Austria not long ago.
All kinds of little different things. There's no set JSS agenda besides Soto Beeler. I've got this thing with Jason Beeler that we're still doing. We're doing more stuff before the year ends up, and I'll be 60 years old this year. So I got my big 60-year party coming up.
When's your birthday?
In November 4th.
Okay, mine's on October 16th, and I'll be joining you at the 60 Club.
There you go. So that means you're older than me by 2 weeks.
Yeah, fuck you, man. That's all. Okay, last thing.
Got it.
Dickinson or Halford? Don't Let Me Down.
Jesus. So it's got to be Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. And
I mean,
one more thing.
Both. I truly, I love them both.
Yeah.
And Bruce is truly on top of his game right now. He's singing better than ever. He's still jumping around on stage. It blows my mind because I can't do half the shit he does, and he is older than me, and it just boggles the mind. But Rob is just the legacy, the legend. Rob is just the man. Yeah.
We talked about a bunch of classical music, rock, whatever we're just talking about. Are there any new bands that have piqued your interest at all over the past 10 years or so?
There are, and every time I'm asked this question, I often I come up blank. Mm-hmm. There's a band in Brazil called Electric Mob.
Electric Mob.
I'll
write that down.
Out there a lot. One of the greatest singers out there right now, and great band to boot. Jalusic, my friend Dino Jalusic's one of the premier hard rock metal singers out there today. Everybody's just blown away by Dino, and his band is, the songs and the music is just fantastic. So Jalusic is another one. If we go back a few more years before Dino, Nathan James and his band Inglorious. So those newer bands, the next generation of where we came from, those guys are absolutely carrying the torch and making us proud.
You know who I've been listening to that my son turned me on to is Ghost. And I like them because they're kind of a throwback, right?
Yeah. Kind of get a melody. 70 times. Yeah.
Exactly. The guy doesn't have the greatest voice, and I've said this before, but his melody is untouchable. Yeah. I mean, it's just so good, especially this new record.
Yeah. But
anyway, all right.
Really blows me away currently, and huge nod, huge praise and nod to EVH. You know, Wolfgang is just, he's next level. He is. He writes everything, sings. His voice is badass. His songs are great. He's got a great attitude. He knows how to conduct himself and hold himself. He knows how to defend himself from idiots out there that are putting him down or saying you're nothing like your dad and your music doesn't. Yeah, he knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and that's just good upbringing right there. And I got to give it to Mammoth. I got to give it to Wolfie.
Yeah. If you haven't seen them live, you have to. They played here with Creed and Three Doors Down, and he blew my socks off, man.
Right, so, and I haven't seen him yet. Another one I've yet to meet. Out of that camp, the only ones I really know are Michael Anthony, Sammy Hagar. So I'm sure somewhere along the way I'll meet Wolf and
Sammy. There's another older geriatric badass.
Yeah. He'll never be geriatric to me. That dude's just everything about that dude is just banging. What an inspiration! I mean, I look at him and go, "You motherfucker, man! I got to follow that now. I got to get to where you're at." Nah, he's another one that's next level.
He's a beast. He's a beast. I used to own a restaurant in Tiburon in Northern California. You go there to eat every now and then, and would walk Sammy Hagar. I'm like, holy shit!
Right on.
There he is. Montrose, Van Halen, Solo.
And he's a good dude. The Chicken Foot, HSAS. I know, man. I've loved Sammy's career since way before Van Halen.
Same. Anyway, look, I know you got a birthday party for one of your kids. I got to jump on another meeting here. But, dude, thank you for taking the time. You're a busy man. And I can't wait to see you again and hug that neck.
It's the kind of stuff we talk about anyways when we hang. So
I know.
On screen.
Exactly. All right, bro, man. Thank you so much, dude.
All right, friend.